What if your favorite cartoon knew the future before it happened? For over 30 years, The Simpsons has dropped jaw-dropping tech predictions that somehow keep coming true. Coincidence or something else? Let's dive into every time The Simpsons predicted technology explained in detail. Take smartwatches, for example. Back in 1995, The Simpsons aired an episode called Lisa's Wedding, where a grown-up Lisa meets her fiancé Hugh, a suave Brit who proposes with the help of a wristwatch that can make phone calls. At the time, wristwatches barely did more than tell you were late for work. Yet, here was Lisa's love interest treating him like a personal communication device. Fast forward to today, and Apple, Samsung, and everyone else has turned watches into mini smartphones. You can call, text, and even track your heart rate, all from your wrist. In the mid-90s, this was science fiction. Now it's just another notification buzzing at the worst possible time. Somehow The Simpsons saw it before Silicon Valley did. But that wasn't the only gadget The Simpsons slipped into the cultural waiting room. In the same episode, Lisa's Wedding, the show tossed in another blink and you'll miss it prophecy. Lisa talks to her mom through video chat. Remember, this was the mid-90s. The internet still made sounds like a dying robot every time you logged in. And long-distance calls was so expensive, parents would yell, "Make it quick," as soon as you dialed. Yet, there it was. Marge's face popping up on a screen as if Zoom calls were the norm. By the 20s, video conferencing was so widespread that even your boss could appear in pajamas on your laptop. If anything, The Simpsons should have warned us about Zoom fatigue. Sometimes the show's predictions are hilarious, not because they nailed the tech, but because they nailed the specific annoyance that came with it. In 1994's Lisa on Ice, the writers threw in a gag where Kearney types a note into his Apple Newton, "Beat up Martin," instead of spitting out the intended message. Newton's early handwriting recognition botches it into "Eat up Martha." It was a quick joke at the expense of clunky gadgets. But that little blunder hit too close to home for Apple. Years later, engineers confessed that the "Eat up Martha" gag haunted them so badly it became a sort of rallying cry while improving the iPhone's autocorrect. Now, every time your phone insists you meant to type ducking instead of whatever you actually wrote, you can thank Springfield school bully for getting the ball rolling. Of course, not all Simpsons tech predictions are about sleek futuristic devices. Sometimes they're about the strange, slightly absurd side of life. In the 2001 episode, New Kids on the Bleach, the show casually featured the idea of a music video created entirely with computer animation and motion capture. Back then, the concept seemed far-fetched, like something reserved for video games. But within a decade, the technology had marched into the mainstream. From movies like Avatar to pop stars like Hatsune Miku, digital performance became a very real industry. The Simpsons was joking about boy bands, but it was also sketching the blueprint for an entertainment revolution where you don't even need a flesh and blood singer to headline a concert. Then there's Autocorrect's more sinister cousin, AI assistants. In the 1995 Lisa's Wedding episode again, a goldmine for accidental fortune-telling, Hugh's watch isn't just a phone, it also has something like Siri. While the scene doesn't linger on it, the idea that your watch or phone could answer your voice and act like a companion was baked into the gag. At the time, if you talked to your gadgets, people assumed you were crazy. Now people bark commands at Alexa to turn on lights or plead with Siri to stop mangling directions. The Simpsons may not have predicted how sassy modern AI assistants can be, but they certainly anticipated the idea that we'd all be chatting with machines as casually as we do with neighbors. Even when the writers weren't looking at cutting-edge gadgets, they were poking fun at social trends that became eerily real. Think back to the episode Bart to the Future in 2000, where Lisa becomes president of the United States. While the main prediction people love to highlight is President Trump, there's a quieter detail worth noting. The Oval Office is filled with little screens and gadgets, each displaying news or data in real time. Today's politicians carry tablets, rely on smartphones, and stare at monitors lined up like they're playing Flight Simulator. The show didn't just foresee a headline, it foresaw the cluttered digital age where leaders can't escape screens even in the highest office in the land. One of the strangest bits of tech prophecy came in 2014 when an old Simpsons gag about Farmville-style addictive games suddenly looked like a documentary. In the 1998 episode, Bart Carney, Homer becomes obsessed with a yardwork simulator and requires endless attention and generates no real reward. At the time, it was just a goofy parody of video games. Then the 2000 rolled in with Farmville, Candy Crush, and mobile games designed to drain both your free time and your wallet. Suddenly, Homer's pointless virtual yard work didn't feel so funny. It felt like a preview of millions of people getting sucked into tapping on crops while ignoring actual lawns outside. Sometimes the show's predictions were so ahead of the curve, they were easy to miss. Take the Computer War Menace shoes from 2000, where Homer builds his own website. He fills it with bizarre fake news and conspiracy theories, gaining followers in the process. At the time, most people didn't even know what a blog was, let alone the idea of misinformation going viral. 2 decades later, fake news became a global issue, and Homer Simpson was suddenly looking like a patron saint of clickbait. The writers thought they were lampooning Homer's stupidity. Instead, they were foreshadowing the digital chaos of the 2010s. Not every Simpsons prediction comes true in the exact way you'd expect, but even the misses are uncanny. In Marge versus the monorail, a sign reads, "Coming soon, the escalator to nowhere." It's a throwaway gag of people happily riding up before falling off. While that exact contraption never appeared, the rise of absurd, over-engineered public work projects like bizarre staircases, useless gadgets in shopping malls or airports where escalators lead nowhere practical feels suspiciously similar. Springfield might not have gotten the physics right, but it nailed the human tendency to build technology that looks exciting on paper and ridiculous in practice. And just when you think the coincidences have to end, the show throws in another gem. In the 2008 episode, Lisa Sachs, there's a gag about students learning from tablets instead of textbooks. At the time, tablets weren't yet household items. Within a few years, classrooms worldwide were filled with iPads and digital lessons. Teachers may not have enjoyed explaining for the 100th time why a kid's screen brightness was at blinding the pilot of a plane level, but The Simpsons had already joked about it. Springfield Elementary was basically beta testing the future of education without realizing it. But let's not forget the 1994 episode Itchy Scratchy Land. The Simpsons family visits a high-tech amusement park where robot characters run the attractions. Of course, being Springfield, the robots malfunction, rebel, and start attacking guests. At the time, it was an obvious parody of Westworld, but it also turned into a pretty accurate preview of our uneasy relationship with robotics. Flash forward and you got Boston Dynamics robots sprinting across parking lots and opening doors like they're auditioning for a horror movie. Add in the occasional viral video of delivery robots getting stuck on curbs or accidentally starting fires, and the whole Simpsons gag starts to feel less like a joke. And speaking of robots gone wrong, The Simpsons also gave us a peek at self-driving cars long before they were buzzing around California. In the 1994 episode, The Last Temptation of Homer, Homer rides in a driverless car that seems to have a mind of its own, swerving and making choices without his control. Today, you can hail a self-driving taxi in certain cities, but much like Springfield, people still don't exactly trust them. Videos of autonomous cars stopping in the middle of intersections or refusing to move at green lights show that we are not far from the comedy of Homer's wild ride. It's one thing to imagine a car that drives itself. It's another to trust it not to decide a lamppost looks like a great parking spot. Then there's virtual reality. In the 1998 episode, Bart Carney, Homer tries on VR goggles in a carnival booth, swinging his arms around like he's fighting off invisible monsters. Back then, VR was a clunky dream tucked away in science labs and the occasional arcade. Now, it's in living rooms, offices, and classrooms, whether people are exploring virtual museums or just punching the air wildly while playing Beat Saber. The Simpsons captured not just the technology, but the awkward hilarity of watching someone wearing a headset flail around like a confused marionette. If you've ever almost smacked your own furniture while playing a VR game, Homer was basically your stunt double years in advance. In the 2012 episode, Ned and Edna's Blend, there's a quick background shot showing Homer paying for things with a holographic version of money. While hologram cash hasn't arrived yet, digital money certainly has. Bitcoin, Ethereum, Dogecoin, take your pick. Cryptocurrencies have exploded in the past decade, creating a whole new world of finance where fortunes can appear and disappear overnight. The Simpsons wasn't predicting the exact blockchain mechanics, but it foresaw the idea of money that wasn't printed or minted, only coded. And given how often crypto news feels like parody, maybe Springfield is the most accurate trading floor after all. Even drones managed to flutter through the show's scripts before they dominated the skies. In the 2007 Treehouse of Horror segment, Send in the Clones, and later in episodes like Specs in the City, the town is crawling with tiny flying devices spying on people. At first it was a gag about surveillance and gadgets, but within a few years, drones were buzzing over neighborhoods, delivering packages and filming weddings. It reached the point where spotting a drone isn't shocking. It's just Tuesday. Springfield once again turned a joke about over-the-top snooping into a forecast of Amazon delivery empire and hobbyists accidentally crashing quadcopters into trees. The show even brushed against the idea of 3D printing before it became a household phrase. In the 2005 episode Future Drama, Bart and Lisa walk through a world where objects materialize on demand in people's homes. It looked like pure cartoon wizardry, but within a decade, 3D printers were churning out everything from toys to prosthetics. Springfield's gag hinted at the future, where you don't shop for an object, you print it. Granted, we're not quite at the stage where you can press a button and get a pizza hot out of the printer, but give it time. If The Simpsons already joked about it, reality is probably updating its software to make it happen. And then there's online dating. In the 1994 episode, Bart's girlfriend, comic book guy, logs into a primitive computer system to meet women, joking about the romance of the future. At the time, meeting strangers on the internet sounded bizarre, even dangerous. Today, entire generations treat swiping on apps as the normal way to date, whether it's Tinder, Bumble, or niche platforms that pair you based on dog breeds or favorite cheeses. The Simpsons once again scribbled out a future that felt absurd until it was mainstream. If anything, Comic Book Guy's Lonely Search looks eerily relatable now. But perhaps the most surprising category of predictions isn't flashy tech. It's the everyday tools we can't live without. In the 1996 episode, Much Apu About Nothing, Springfield sets up a new voter system with electronic machines. Inevitably, the machines glitch and cast votes for the wrong candidate. Years later, during real elections, electronic voting mishaps became headline news. What was once a gag about bureaucratic incompetence turned into a genuine fear about democracy's tech vulnerabilities. Only The Simpsons could turn the joke, "Your vote counts, just not the way you intended," into a prophecy. What other technologies did The Simpsons predict? Share your thoughts in the comments below. We'd love to hear from you. Thanks for watching and supporting our channel. Click the next video on your screen to dive into another exciting Simpsons story.